You are listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shamaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shamaya Reed.
Hey, welcome to I Am Refocused Radio. We are here once again today. We have another show lineup for y'all today. Man, today we're going to be talking about a special topic that is very important. We have our special guest for today. He is the founder of Saving Brothers. His name is Philip Robison. And first and foremost, we're going to learn a little bit about him and explore today's topic, how to be more proactive with your health. So first and foremost, Philip, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Shimei, it's an absolute pleasure, brother. So glad to be here sharing some space with your incredible people.
And like I said in the introduction, you are the founder of your great brand, Saving Brothers, and people can visit the website, savingbrothers.com. First, kind of take the audience a little bit back and kind of tell us about what inspired you to start this movement.
Yeah, that's a beautiful question. I think, like everybody, we've all been on a journey, and my journey is a journey of success and failure and pain. And wonderment. And for me, like I'll be 56 in the end of May, and I had a beautiful life. At least it seemed that way, Shemaya, from the outside. So I was a mortgage broker. So I was in finance for 19 years, and I had what most people would say is success. So a beautiful big home, had a beach house down the coast, drove a convertible BMW, wife had a beautiful Mercedes, kids went to a all-boys grammar school, traveled around the world, and did some pretty, by most people's standards, some neat things, some nice things. So we had a good life. But for me, for many, many years, my background was really all about sales. I felt there was an emptiness. There was something that just wasn't quite right. I didn't know what it was, but I felt like my life was missing something. Again, didn't know what it was. So I went along for a number of years, and I was in a marriage for 22 and a half years. So I say was, past tense. So it was okay for a number of years. I mean, let's face it, people, you don't get married to get divorced, right? So we bumbled along, and from the outside, it looked great. But again, there was, something missing. And I think, particularly for brothers out there, and I'm sure for women as well, we in our 20s, even in our 30s, we're hustling, we're trying to, whether we go to college, whether we're getting that job, we're on the career path, we're building, aren't we? We're trying to make something of our life. But then one day you can wake up and you get off that treadmill and it's like, hey, what's missing? So there's probably a couple of aspects here to Saving Brothers in answering your question. So I was in personal pain, and then 14 June 2018, it got to a point that it was like, I'm just kind of done with my marriage. And I didn't mean that in a disrespectful way. It was more about I just couldn't give any more. It was like the athlete running the 400 meters, and they're coming down the straight and they're done, they're spent. And I was emotionally and mentally spent. Track back a few years, back to 2014, I went through a diagnosis of cancer. So one of the things that I was good at from the age of 40, Shemaya, is I was proactive with my health. So for some reason at 40, I made a personal decision, had nothing to do with Saving Brothers, but it was around going and getting my bloods done every year. And going and getting my bloods done ultimately led to a diagnosis of cancer. So at 47, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer. And what I haven't shared with you until now is that I had a very successful mortgage practice. But of course, you may remember, certainly a lot of your audience, I'm sure, would remember, 2008, 2009, we had the global financial crisis. So my business was flying, but then almost overnight it fell off a cliff and my revenue dropped around 70%. Yet my expenses were still living the rock star lifestyle, but my cash flow wasn't supporting that. So I've always believed, Shemay, that I manifested in some way my cancer, particularly in terms of stress. And I think the lessons of that for me are that we need to manage our stress, our anxiety, depression. We need to manage those things. And we've gone through a lot as a world over the last 2 to 3 years with COVID and long COVID and war in the Ukraine and other things. So there's a lot of things going on out there that are impacting our mental health. So fast forward then to 2018, and I sign up to a course through a group called the SFM. And what that stands for your listeners, is the Six Figure Mentors. And I step out of my marriage and I'm thinking, I'm going to become an online digital rock star. I'm going to start working online and become an affiliate marketer. And that took me to Queensland in Australia, where some of our famous beaches are, the Gold Coast, not far from the Great Barrier Reef. And I did a 3-day course called the Brand Incubator. Now, the importance of that for me was it was about dissecting and understanding your values and your principles. And I was out of alignment. I was just thinking about myself, capitalism, making money, and how I looked to the external world. But I started to really become quite introspective, Shemaya, where I went inside myself. I was in a lot of pain. I'd just left my marriage. I was very vulnerable. I remember standing in the toilets. You mentioned you're from Texas. So one of my brothers from Texas was actually one of the leaders on the course. And he's holding me I'm in the male toilets. I'm crying. I'm really in a bad space. And he says, "Brother, I've got you. Gotcha." And for me, I started to think about, what is my legacy? What is my mission? Am I just going to be another one of these jocks just earning a lot of money and collecting stuff? And please don't misunderstand. I love my toys and I like travel and I like nice things. But that's kind of like a drug. It's like, you get a hit and then you get a nice car, or you have a holiday, or you buy a watch, and it's like, yeah, that's like a little bit of a quick dopamine hit, but it does not sustain you. So I really started to think, what is my legacy? What am I creating? When I'm going to my deathbed, and it's like, the big fella's going to call me upstairs, hopefully. And it's like, am I going to go at peace, or am I going to have a life of regret? And I started to think, I need to make a difference. Now, what I haven't shared with your audience yet was that when I was at grammar school, I went to a good grammar school myself here in Melbourne, Australia, down under, as some would say. 4 of my guys, my hood, my buddies, they had taken their lives. So they checked out permanently. And these were great young men, but something happened, something triggered something in them. And it's like I started to think about other people that I knew over the journey. And there were times where I thought, look, I'm going to turn the lights out because I just can't cope. It's just too much. And I started to think about my mental health. I also started to think about my cancer journey, and conversations with men across the globe really led me to realize that men, well, we're not that great at being proactive with our health. We kind of like go to a doctor when our leg's about to fall off. And I know that sounds an exaggeration, but unfortunately, globally, whether you're in the US or in Australia or England or Jamaica, it doesn't really matter. Most men are not really great at being proactive with health. So again, they go to a doctor because something's wrong. And Shemaya, I've often said it, think of it like driving your car. If you only ever drive it and you drive it and you drive it and you never take it to the auto shop, you never take it to the mechanic and get it serviced, at some point, something's going to go wrong. So wouldn't it be better, particularly if you think about in the US, healthcare is expensive. Wouldn't it be better to go to your doctor at least once a year, get your bloods done, get your checks, just like driving a car, and have everything sorted out? And if something does come up, hey, wouldn't it be so much better to catch it early rather than, hey, it's really, it's pretty late in the whole situation, and we just want to get you comfortable, and let's just make the best of what we got. That's an awful conversation, Shemaya. Much better conversation, which is one that I had, which was, hey, look, it looks like you've got a tumor, but here's the options. It was prostate cancer is what I had at 47. I had my prostate out, It was like, okay, Phil, I reckon we've caught this early. And the good thing was we're able to contain it, take the cancer out by removing the prostate, and touch wood, my journey's been a really healthy one since then. So to me, that's a much better conversation, brother.
Once again, listen, I Refocus Radio talking to our guest today, Philip Robison. Go to his website, savingbrothers.com. And you also have Teach 5 Man to Help 5 Man. Explain to the audience the concept of that and what Keep 5 Alive means.
Shemaya, I love it. Yeah. So Keep 5 Alive, think of it like just putting your hand up. And it's all about doing 5 things and helping 5 brothers. So the first one is self-love, self-care. So I think the most important thing is to become your own best friend. When we're standing in front of the mirror, we need to reconcile with that guy. We actually need to like that guy looking back at us. We live with that person 24/7 for our total journey in this human vessel. Now, I myself have many times have not liked who I was. So I've really been working hard the last few years on becoming my own best friend and liking. We have this thing called, the trendy word at the moment, Shemaya, is imposter syndrome. We're wearing masks. We're BSing ourselves. So become your own best friend, self-love, self-care. Number 2 on Keep 5 Alive is movement, exercise, whether it's walking. It doesn't have to be hostile in terms of aggressive, going for a run and pumping weights in the gym, just some movement, preferably getting outside into nature if you can. Number 3, which I've already touched on, which is get to a doctor every year and get your bloods done, get your checks. Maybe you need to get a calcium score done if you've got heart disease in your history. Family history is the greatest indicator of these things. So making sure, one of the biggest epidemics of the world right now is type 2 diabetes. USA, Australia, we have poor diets generally. So type 2 diabetes, very preventable. Number 4 is gratitude. Be grateful, brother, of what you do have in your life. There's a lot of other people. Look at what's going on, unfortunately, in Turkey, Syria, Ukraine. The kids aren't getting to school. People have lost their homes. People have lost their lives in many cases. So be grateful for what you do have. And number 5, absolutely, is when you see another fella, another man, or you greet him, and you can do this with women as well, the question we ask is, hey, brother, how's your day going out of 10? Now, the reason we ask that, sometimes people will say, oh, yeah, I'm great, I'm fine, I'm doing good. Now, what we really want to do is understand where they're really at, because, we wear these masks and our replies are often automated. So I often will pull people up on that one and say, well, hang on, if 10 is awesome, fantastic, and one's really ordinary, bad, where are you? Now, it doesn't matter the score. Even if they say, oh, Phil, I don't know, maybe I'm a 5. Okay, brother, so what made you give that score? What's going on for you? So what we're wanting to do is create a safe space for men in particular to have a discussion. Vulnerability is, in fact, strength. It's okay not to be okay. And the concept then behind Keep 5 Alive, 2 things. Firstly, we don't have to solve a man's problems. It's not like Rubik's Cube where we've got to come up with the answer. It's like, you know what, just listen. Just give him a safe space to put down the load for a bit. Now, the concept then behind Keep 5 Alive is to help 5 brothers. And Shemaya, what we've been doing, my team actually, even though I'm in Melbourne, Australia, my development team, I'm building an app. It's a wellness app, and we're going to release that in probably another 5 to 6 weeks. The prototype's built. My team are based in the US in Miami Beach, in Florida, and we've built a wellness app where men will be able to support 5 brothers. And the idea is to support 5 brothers, and there'll be tools, there'll be rewards, there'll be a token system. We call them SBT, Saving Brothers Tokens, where men are rewarded for challenges and supporting each other, keeping each other accountable. Just 5 men. Now, the idea is those 5 men share it with another 5 men. And by the way, Shemaya, the app will be 100% free for life. So those 5 men offer it to another 5 and so on. And you take that down 11 levels and we hit our global goal of impacting the lives of 245 million men. So that's, in the short time we've got together, that's the concept behind Keep Five Alive, and we've got a magazine, just to let your listeners know, that's going to be launched next week. It's called Being Man, and I can get back to you with a link to that where people can subscribe to it. It's about men's aspirational stuff and free. It's free to subscribe, and it's also about men's health. So some really cool stuff, and we've got a lot of interviews, and a lot of my team actually that I work with are based in the USA. So we're really excited to bring Being Man, and we're building a new website. So we've got a bunch of stuff, Shemaya, going on at the moment.
You also have a podcast as well, Saving Brothers podcast for health, help, and also wealth. So for our audience, what's some of the topics that you kind of explore with your platform?
Thank you for the question. So we definitely explore vulnerability. One thing I would say is we're not sick bay, we're not triage, we're not a hospital, but we're really, if I could nail it down, Saving Brothers is about helping men become the best version of themselves in their health, in looking after themselves, but also in their wealth. Because one of the big topics, I think, and one of the big stressors, in particular for men, if you go back to prehistoric times, Shemaya, we were the hunter, weren't we? Our goal, our role was to go and find the food, the kill. And there is that real sense, I think, expectation of men still socially that, hey, we got to be the breadwinner, the guy that, hustles and brings home the food and the money. And a lot of women work. Hey, a lot of the women are also the primary breadwinner in many homes. So I don't disregard that in any way. So we're really exploring topics around how men can better manage their psychology. Maybe a man's at a level that he's like, I kind of feel like I'm plateauing, I'm just drifting along. So we explore topics around how they can be the best version of themselves. We've got a bunch of coaches. So we're just about to launch the new app and the new website where we've got coaches, and a bunch of them actually are in the US, who are there to help men level up and just keep growing. I think that where men can get lost, Shemaya, is men get lost because they're plateaued or they're lacking clarity of purpose. When you've got purpose and a vision and you work toward that, then you can really step up. And so we're about helping men get clarity around that. Hey, it might be that someone has a fitness goal. One of my coaches, he's actually done 100 Ironman distances. He's just signed up for his 101st Ironman. So maybe that's the thing. It's about a fitness goal. So we've got coaches in all these different areas: fitness, health, wealth, mindset, psychology, business. So it's really about, ultimately, with the podcast, with the magazine, with the app, getting men to be the best version of themselves that they can be.
And also for your website, you can go visit the website, savingbrothers.com. You also have a section where people can actually have courses that they can tap into. The courses that you have available, can you kind of touch on the audience a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, a lot of the courses that are in there actually are going to be updated and improved upon. And what you'll see probably over the next, say, couple of months in particular, we're going to have some incredible courses. One's called Decoding Your Matrix, not to be confused with the film, but the Matrix is about dealing with the subconscious and how you can actually self-actualize. We've got courses coming up around yoga, meditation, breath work. I've been doing meditation for 31 years, transcendental meditation. It's a really great thing. We'll have courses, like some people might be dealing with some substance abuse, and we'll have coaching around that. We've got expertise in that area. We've got expertise around money management, and how to, we're not typically, when we go to school, we're not taught how to grow wealth, how to save, not just a budget, but how do you actually create other revenue streams, maybe passive revenue streams, passive income, for example. So these are just some of the areas. Maybe you want to learn to run a marathon. So again, with my coach who's out of Sweden, his name's Carrie Martins, he's going to teach people. Maybe you want to run 5K, or maybe you had a heart attack like him. He had a heart attack at 42, and then 7 months later, he did his first Ironman distance. He went from 103 kilos to around mid-80s. So there really are, what you're seeing in the savingbrothers.com website at the moment, Shemaya, is going to really have a metamorphosis, a significant change over the next few months. And we will have that new website ready to go by May. And I think the important things, I can keep in touch with you, brother. And as this journey evolves, you'll see some pretty cool stuff coming out.
Once again, talking to our guest today, Philip Robison. You can go to his website, savingbrothers.com. You also have a section on your website where you recommend books for people to check out as well. When you look at how you're growing your platform and influence, you have a massive network internationally, not just where you are, but here in the US as well. What would you like to see things take place in short term, as far as after the app is finished and the website's updated? What do you hope the members of your mission, your community, if you will be able to go to the next level and grow?
I think the most important thing is for men to find peace in their heart and a real purpose and a clarity of purpose. One of the biggest things is we find comfort in service, helping others. So when we're caught up in our own stuff, Shemaya, and our own head, let's say, when we take the spotlight off ourselves and look at ways to help others, it's amazing the benefit we get in feeling better about and liking ourselves better. So and a lot of these things that I've learned, Shemaya, are really as a result of how I've dealt and navigated my own challenges. I'm still working through stuff constantly, every day. There are wins that I have and things that really do knock me for six. And I just say, guys, the idea of Saving Brothers, if you look at our tagline, it says you matter. So it's really for us to establish, Shemaya, our goal is a global community of men, a global consciousness to say, it doesn't matter your color, your sexuality, your ethnicity, where you're from, what team you follow, whether it's in the NFL or none of those things matter. The most important thing is to know that we are all one. It's a human consciousness. And when we start to think like that how can I serve and how can I be a better brother to my brothers across the globe, I think then we're going to have hopefully a happier world, certainly a healthier world. And I think what I really want is for the men in their families to lead and know that they're enough, that they are good men, that they are the ones that are going to really take us on this wonderful journey. What I haven't shared yet with your audience is that the next phase of Saving Brothers is called Saving Little Brothers. And that is working with our teenagers, our boys from, say, 13 up to around 20. They need love, guidance. They need values. We no longer work in the fields like pre-industrial revolution, where they said it took a village to raise a boy into a man, because everybody goes off to a job now. So it's important for us to provide role models, value systems, so that our boys make better, more intelligent choices, so that the next generation of young men and beyond, that is really our legacy, is to influence that vibration over the next few generations, Shemaya.
Listen, on Refocus Radio, talking to our special guest today, Philip Robison. Go to his website, savingbrothers.com. And like he said throughout the whole show, the theme, man, is you're not alone. You can start making that community and surround yourself with like-minded people. I suggest you go to the website again at savingbrothers.com. Check out his podcast, check out his books, everything, the app. All that is all coming. So I want to say thank you again, Philip, for taking time talking to us today.
Shemaya, absolute pleasure. Anytime. And I think particularly when the new website's up, the new app, and I can walk your audience through it, all those things, remembering they will be free to access. That's our gift to the world. So, brother, absolute pleasure to spend some time with you and share some space.